Some employees lasted only a few hours. Others made it through a day or two before deciding they simply could not take any more. A handful reportedly ended up in tears, hiding in bathrooms just to escape the pressure for a few moments. Not because of a national tragedy, not because of some crisis beyond anyone's control, but because of the extraordinary demands inside one of Britain's most talked about royal households. For years, the public image of Sarah Ferguson was built around warmth, humour, resilience, and an ability to bounce back from almost any setback. She was the approachable royal, the one who seemed more relatable than many of her aristocratic peers. But according to former staff members, archived documents, and conversations with individuals who had direct knowledge of life inside the York household, according to those accounts, daily life often revolved around routines that bordered on the surreal. One story that repeatedly surfaces involves a cream cake. Every day, staff were reportedly instructed to ensure that a large cream cake was prepared. It did not matter whether anyone ate it. It did not matter whether yesterday's cake had gone untouched. A fresh one was the next day. The instruction never changed. Bake the cake. Tomorrow, bake another one. And the day after that, repeat the process. For many employees, this became symbolic of a wider culture where practicality seemed secondary to maintaining a certain lifestyle. The same pattern allegedly extended into many other areas of household management. Personal involves claims that Princess Beatrice's credit card was regularly used to assist with expenses. Another unusual story concerns a psychic who was reportedly compensated in cigarettes rather than conventional payment. The details vary depending on the source, but together they contribute to a picture of financial management that many observers find difficult to comprehend. To protect privacy and discretion, employees were reportedly required to sign strict confidentiality agreements. That is not unusual in high-profile households. However, specific ways. Laundry reportedly followed strict rules. Certain products were preferred over others. If fabrics did not smell exactly as expected, entire loads could allegedly be washed again. Morning routines were similarly precise. Freshly squeezed orange juice had to arrive at exactly the right moment. Not 5 minutes early, not 10 minutes before breakfast, exactly when it was wanted. Former employees claimed that even slight prepared to very specific standards. The positioning mattered. The temperature mattered. Everything had to be exactly right. Again, none of these requests would necessarily seem extraordinary on their own. The issue, according to former staff, was the cumulative effect. Hundreds of small demands. Then, there was the travel. According to various accounts, travelling with Sarah Ferguson could become a major operation. Luggage numbers reportedly reached astonishing levels. Suitcases filled with cosmetics, suitcases filled with clothing, suitcases containing items that most travellers would simply carry in a handbag. One story even describes luggage devoted largely to clothing hangers. Whether every detail is perfectly accurate is difficult to confirm, but the broader pattern remains consistent across numerous accounts. Excess was not occasional. It was routine. The spending habits extended into shopping. Large bills reportedly accumulated at department stores. Beauty products, clothing, accessories, and luxury items flowed through the household with remarkable frequency. Wine merchants allegedly received substantial orders. Retail accounts grew larger, expenses multiplied, and all the while, debt continued to grow. By the mid-1990s, financial pressures had reportedly reached alarming levels. Credit initially appeared to involve a relatively small payment eventually became part of a much broader discussion about financial dependency and personal judgment. Emails that later surfaced revealed repeated appeals for assistance, requests for money, concerns about unpaid obligations, growing anxiety over financial commitments. The picture that the pillars supporting her public career began to weaken. Then, they started falling away altogether. Book projects stalled, public engagements disappeared, media appearances became less frequent, commercial opportunities shrank. For someone who had spent decades rebuilding her image after previous scandals, the sudden silence was striking. Eventually, reports began placing her at luxury wellness retreats across Europe, Switzerland, Austria, other locations where privacy could be maintained. Photographs became rare. Public appearances almost vanished. Speculation grew about her future, where only a fraction of what she once earned through books, endorsements, speaking engagements, and commercial partnerships. The contrast is dramatic. Millions earned over a lifetime, millions spent, yet remarkably little remains. Perhaps the most significant aspect of the story is not the money itself. It is the testimony from those who worked closest to the situation. The employees who describe exhaustion, the assistants who speak consequences of spending beyond its means forever. The image that remains is striking. A freshly baked cream cake appearing every morning whether anyone wanted it or not. Employees overwhelmed by impossible expectations. Bills piling up behind the scenes. Luxury without stability. Privilege without financial discipline. And a woman who once stood at the center of one of the world's most famous families now facing a future that looks very different from the one she imagined. For years, Sarah Ferguson managed to navigate crisis after crisis through determination, charisma, and an extraordinary ability to reinvent herself. Whether she can do it again may be one of the most fascinating unanswered questions in the ongoing story of the House of York.